Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mazza on Sports. Here to talk about the New York Knicks advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Jets extending Breece Hall, the Nets, and where do they go from here? What could they do? There is one thing they can do, and I'm going to talk about the only true option they really can have right now. Dive in more to the NBA playoffs. The Timberwolves tying the series up with the Spurs, and of course a little bit of Victor Wembanyama and his being ejected and no further discipline for him. We'll touch base on that a little bit. Plus, we'll touch base on a little bit of NFL scheduling news, but we will start with the New York Knicks today. And the New York Knicks, a complete ass kicking, domination, butt kicking, taking the 76ers lunch. And taking their lunch money, however you want to call, just spanking. What do they say? BTA. A absolute domination by the Knicks last night to complete a series sweep of the Philadelphia 76ers. 1, 2, 3, 4, goodbye, as the New York Knicks advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they have now won their 7th consecutive postseason game, and it's amazing how far they came. Something clicked. We said in the last show together, something clicked with the Knicks. Something clicked after they lost to the Hawks in games 2 and 3. They blew the game 2. They blew it in game 2 at home, lost a close one in game 3, and something clicked. Something has woken them up. Something clicked to where they have now gone to this streak, beating the Hawks the rest of the way, 114-98 in game 4, 126-97 in game 5, 140-89 in game 6. Game 1 to the 76ers, 137-98. The one close one, game 2, 108-102, 108-94 in game 3, 144-114 yesterday in their sweep of the Sixers. And it's almost come out of nowhere what this run the Knicks are. This is as dominant of a performance, as dominant of a stretch that in my lifetime I've ever seen the Knicks have. We've never seen the Knicks, at least in my lifetime or and fans of my generation, here watching the Knicks, we've never seen them have a stretch like this, ever. It's as dominant as they've looked in a long, long time, just overall in their history. I mean, guys, this is 6 blowouts. Only one was a close one. That was game 2 against Philadelphia. But let's go through it again. 114-98, 126-97, 140-89, 137-98. And then the close one in game 2, 108-94, and then 144-14. 6 blowouts. 6 blowouts of the 7. Absolute domination by the Knicks from Josh Dubois is the most lopsided best of 7. It was the most lopsided best of 7 conference semifinal series of all time. That and the Magic in 2010 against the Hawks. They had an effective field goal percentage of 59.6%, the best through 10 playoff games since at least 1967, 1968. Previous best was 59.3% for the Celtics in 2023. The Knicks winning their franchise record 7 straight. This is all from Josh Dubois of the Associated Press. The Knicks winning their franchise record 7 straight game in a single postseason and wrapped up their 3rd sweep ever to best of 7. They also did it in 1999 against the Hawks and 1969 against the Baltimore Bullets, the old Baltimore Bullets of the ABA. I think their 144 points last night was the most they'd ever scored in a postseason game. I could have swore that was another graphic, but just the absolute domination that they put on. And it's just, and again, they do this without OG. They do this without OG Anunoby. And it's everyone stepping up. It's Deuce McBride stepping up. It's obviously Josh Hart stepping up. Cat has stepped up. Something has clicked with this team, a wake-up call. I think losing games 2 and 3 to the Hawks was a wake-up call for them, saying that This is not going to be easy. This is a journey. We need to play our best basketball if we're going to get to the finals. And the New York Knicks, after they lost those games to the Hawks, and they were down 2-1, there was a lot of chatter about Mike Brown and his status, about Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, about Mikal Bridges, who was coming off an absolutely atrocious game in Game 3. There was a lot of talk and a lot of chatter about the Knicks and their future and where they were going to go and what was going to happen, who was going to coach the team, all that other stuff. And they have now bounced back and won 7 in a row and have looked as dominant as they've looked in a long time, not just in the past several years since they've really started this run of going to the playoffs consistently every year, but ever in a long time, as good of a stretch as they've ever played. And it's just good, pure team basketball. It's not just Jalen Brunson. This has not been the Jalen Brunson show. As much as the Knicks have thrived off the Jalen Brunson show, and Jalen Brunson is a really great player, and he's really proving himself to be yet again. Miles McDuce-McBride, career high 25 points last night. Previous high was 21 in the postseason. He made 7 3-pointers, tied for the second most such in franchise postseason history, Knicks postseason history. It's everybody, and that's where it starts. It can't just be the Jalen Brunson show. We know Jalen Brunson can carry the Knicks. We know Jalen Brunson can do all these things and carry the Knicks and be the guy. But other guys have to step up as well. And we've been saying it for a few years, ever since Jalen Brunson emerged as this All-Pro, as this All-NBA, All-Great player. We said someone has to step up, and we're seeing everyone step up. Karl Anthony Towns had another good game yesterday, 17 points, 10 assists. Josh Hart, 17 points and an assist. Deuce McBride, 25 points, 4 rebounds. The Knicks last night, 53% from the field, made 25 3-pointers. That is the model making of what they can be going forward if they want to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jalen Brunson played 28 minutes, had 22 points of his own, but he didn't lead the team. Bridges had McBride had 25, Towns 17, Hart 17. Bridges went 6 of 10 from the field, 12 points of his own, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. This is what it takes if the Knicks are going to take the next step and overcome to the NBA Finals and overcome their obstacles to the NBA Finals, and whether it's going to be Cleveland or Detroit, this is what they're going to have to do as they take a breather, take this step, and take the rest and wait to see who they're going to face. And I think that this is the mindset, like I said, something clicked after they lost to Atlanta. Something clicked. The mindset looks a lot different. I think they're taking it they're taking it day by day, taking it with all business, and their mission is to get to the finals. Now, what's going to happen when they get to the finals? I think they're going to run into an absolute buzzsaw in the Oklahoma City Thunder, but let's get there first. The Knicks still have to get there first. But the way they're playing right now, there's no reason that they should not be in the finals. There's no reason that this run of theirs should not end with them in the finals at the very least. I don't know if they do get to the finals and win the Eastern Conference for the first time since 1999. I don't know if they'll win the finals and win their first championship since 1972. I don't know if this will be it. I don't know if that will be it, because again, Oklahoma City is just an absolute juggernaut right now, but of their own. But this is where this is as good of a Knicks that the Knicks have looked in a long time. This 7-game stretch that they're on is as good as they've looked in a long time. And this team is on a mission. They are on a mission. You can sense it. You can see it when you see that a team is on a roll, when you see that a team has just caught fire like that, you can tell. They're all business. They're taking it day by day. They have great chemistry. They're on a roll. And what you see in their preparation, what you see in Their chemistry, you're seeing it on the court. You're seeing it on the court. This is a really, really outstanding run. And if you're the Knicks, and if you're a Knicks fan, you got to hope this continues going into the Eastern Conference Finals. You got to hope this continues. Obviously, it could end like that. We've seen great teams go on incredible, insane runs and then just fall short of reaching the championship round, let's say. But this is the year for the Knicks. If they want to take the next, if they want to get to the finals, this has always been the year. No Halliburton in Indiana. Tatum out for the majority of the year in Boston. This was the year for them to do it. And it didn't look great after the first 3 games against Atlanta, and they were down 2-1, and all the chirping and all the talk and all the questions about the Knicks and the questions about Mike Brown, the questions about Jalen Brunson and whether he's truly a legit superstar that can take a team to a championship, the questions surrounding Karl-Anthony Towns, the questions surrounding Mikal Bridges. Why did they trade 5 first-round picks for him? I still contest that was a smart trade to trade 5 first-round picks, but I digress. Everything was all up in the air, and then they have just switched that a complete 180, and now we're talking about the Knicks possibly winning the NBA championship this year because they're that hot, and they're just kicking everybody's tails. The Hawks stood no chance after Game 3. The Sixers stood no chance at all in this entire series. They stood 0 chance. If Boston would have faced the Knicks, they probably would have stood 0 chance because that's how much of that's no offense or nothing against those teams. The Hawks, the Celtics, the Sixers, all good teams, all good playoff teams. It's just a testament to how hot the Knicks are right now. It's a testament to how hot they are and how much of a groove that they're on right now. So now they await their opponent. They await to see who they'll face in the Eastern Conference Finals, whether it's Detroit, and I don't think it matters. Like, we can look at the matchups, we can look at this and that. Who should they face? Who's the right opponent for them? Who's going to give her the toughest ride? All that stuff. I don't think, Detroit leads 2-1 against Cleveland heading tonight at Cleveland. I don't think it matters right now for the Knicks. I think the Knicks are on such a run that it doesn't matter who they play. They're going to be ready to go and ready to play, regardless who it is. If I have to say which one's probably the toughest, I think it would be Detroit. But I don't think when you're on a heater the way the Knicks are on right now, they could play the Golden State Warriors of their dynasty days. They could play the Spurs of their dynasty. They could play whoever in their primes, and they would be ready to play. That's just how it is when you're on such a roll like this. But all they have to do is keep playing like this, keep playing as a team, as a chemistry. Mike Brown worked the bench. Mike Brown working the lineups and working the shifts. Keep working the way you're working it. Keep playing as a team. McBride playing well off the bench or playing as a starter. When they get OG back, that's a bonus. Brunson continue to be Brunson. Towns attacking the glass, attacking the paint, getting to the hoop, forcing the fouls, getting to the free throw line. Mitchell Robinson being an absolute beast in the paint, in the glass. I mean, I think this is just where they are. That they're just on such a heater right now. So who do I want? I don't think it matters. Like I said before, I don't think it really matters who the Knicks face right now because they're on such a hot roll right now. Who they're going to face. They're on such a roll right now that it doesn't really matter who they face. But this is as good as they've looked in a long time. Not just in this current run, this current era of Knicks basketball, but in a long time. When was the last time we've seen the Knicks put up a 7-game stretch like this? It's not just that they've won, they've dominated. So, but certainly impressive 7-game winning streak that they're on right now that a lot of Knicks fans are going to be talking about for a while. They'll definitely talk about it more if they can get 4 more wins. So that's where the Knicks have to be. the end of the day, the Knicks have to get 4 more wins. So they got to get 4 more wins. I don't expect them to win the championship. I don't expect them to beat. I don't think anybody's beating Oklahoma City. I just don't think anybody's beating the Thunder. With how hot the Knicks are, they can get 4 more wins. Who's to say they can't? Who's to say they can't topple the mighty Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think will finish off the sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think, in my opinion, we'll talk about this a little bit more, as the offseason goes along. The Cavaliers are actually currently up on the Pistons 18-15 in the first quarter, 5:18 to go in that game, in the first quarter, I think Oklahoma City finishes the sweep of the Lakers, and I do think it will be the last game that LeBron plays as a Laker. I just feel like he's going to go back to Cleveland. That's just my personal gut feeling, but we'll see. Oklahoma City is just they're just on such a roll. So I think they finish the sweep tonight. I do think Cleveland will tie the series tonight against the Pistons. I just see that series going either 6 or 7, but I do think Detroit ultimately prevails. But right now, the attention, I think, is on the Knicks, and it's on possibly the Thunder. But the Knicks need 4 more wins. 4 more wins, and this season is a success. I know that's not winning a championship, but I think the expectation for the Knicks this year was just to get to the finals. Just get to the finals. But if they get there, if they do, and continue this heater, this run that they're on, who's to say they can't pull off a big upset and beat the Thunder or whoever? Last night, the Timberwolves beat the Spurs. I think that series is going to go 7. Anthony Edwards, again, playing well. They have the Timberwolves are such a good team. They don't get much credit, the Timberwolves, but that is a good team, and they're showing it again, pulling off the upset against Denver, being tied now with the Spurs, 2-2, going back to San Antonio. They're just a good, well-rounded team, led by Julius Randle, led by Anthony Edwards. They're just a good, well-rounded team. Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards going 36 points last night. They're just a good, well-rounded team. I do think San Antonio wins this series. Don't expect them, but don't expect the Timberwolves but expect the Timberwolves to keep fighting, keep battling, and to take this series to 7. I really like what they've done. And in terms of what I saw from the Victor Wembanyama situation, was that dirty? Yeah, it was dirty. And he should have probably been suspended, but I think the rule is he should have been fined. Look at the rule here now. Rule number 12, section 7. Any player gets a flagrant 2 is fined a minimum of $2,000. So that was the minimum, although, boy, that was pretty damn blatant, where it could have been a suspension. But the rule does state that the flagrant 2 should have been at least a $2,000 fine, but the league says, or at least according to Shams, that he will not be suspended or no further discipline. So very interesting. But I also think that's just the NBA of saying we don't want our star player, one of the biggest players that we have in the league, to be out in a pivotal game 5. So I don't agree with it. I think he should have at least given the fine of $2,000, but that was pretty darn blatant. On to the Mets, coming off losing 2 out of 3 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think they're now 10 games under 500. Again, did you know it is their 4th series? I know this is such a weird thing to keep track of, but I keep track of things like this because I'm a nerd. This is the Mets' 4th series already this season. The 4th. 2 of them against the Diamondbacks, where they have won the first game of a series only to lose the next 2. Again, I keep track of stuff like this because I'm a nerd, but I'm also a fan of the team, and it's part of the reason why they're losing. They've had 4 series this season, already 4. 2 against the Diamondbacks, 1 against the Cardinals, and 1 against the Nationals, where they've won the first game of a 3-game series only to lose the next 2. That happens in baseball, obviously. That happens, but you got to win those series, man. That's just my personal theory. You got to win those series. When you take the first game of a 3-game series, you got to win most of them. You got to win at least most of them. And the Mets haven't done that. 4 series already where they won the first one and lost the next 2. But having said that, it was an overall good road trip, but could have been great if they would have won that season. The game to win was Saturday. Yesterday, sure they had their opportunities, but bullpen game, facing Eduardo Rodriguez, yeah, probably not going to win. But Saturday, that was the one to win. Holmes pitches well. Merrill Kelly's really struggled. And what does the offense do? 3 measly hits, 1 run, and they got retired 13 in a row to end the game. Not a recipe for success. And then they lose yesterday. The game to win was Saturday. If they would have won Saturday and lost yesterday, I would have been okay. But losing on Saturday was a cruddy one. And the Mets are on their off day today before they face 3 games at home yesterday against Detroit and then the weekend Subway Series against the Yankees. But the Mets are at a crossroads here. They haven't made any managerial changes to this point. And again, I don't blame Mendoza much for what's going on. But I think the Mets are at a crossroads here. It's May 11th. They're on their off day. There's 140 games, I think, left. 140-ish or so games left in the season as they sit 15 and 25 through the first 40 games. So, yeah, 140 games left. Or 100, do the math. I'm not a good math student, sorry. But we're at the point where the Mets are going to have to make some decisions regarding this lineup. The pitching has held its own. The pitching has held their own. The pitching has held their own. They've held their own. They've kept them in games. They've kept them in it. The bullpen may not be the greatest thing in the world, but they're overall doing all right. The starting pitching may have questions at the bottom where they have to throw a bullpen and have David Pearson come out of the bullpen, and come out of the bullpen. But the pitching is holding itself in. And the defense, yeah, Banez made a couple of crappy errors yesterday, but he shouldn't be playing third base right now. He shouldn't be playing third base. Hell, I would have played Brett Beatty last night at third base, but I get it. They didn't want a couple lefty hitters in there, but he's not really an everyday third baseman. But the defense overall has been fine. Pitching has been all right. This offense really is the obvious problem. It's beating them every day. And every game, they're 12 in a row, 11 in a row, 10 in a row, whatever in a row retired. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 1 run or score, 2 run score, and you're throwing a party. It's like watching an NFL offense where they're down 7-0 and they can't get into the end zone for a touchdown. They're selling for field goals and they lose the game 7-6 or 10-6. They're at the point where they're going to have to start calling up their guys in AAA. And they have 3 top ones. Ryan Clifford, or AJ Ewing, Ryan Clifford, Nick Morabito. They're at the point where they're going to have to start calling them up, like right now. And that's, again, definitely sooner than they probably prefer. Heck, I would say it's sooner than I would prefer. But they got no choice. And unfortunately, it's not under their control. Juan Soto has been banged up. I'll talk about the offense, but yeah, Jonah Tong. Yeah, sure, Jonah Tong, but I'm talking about mainly the offense. But yeah, this is where they're going to have to, you don't have, Soto's been banged up and hurt. He missed about 3 weeks. Luis Robert is hurt, and who knows when he's coming back. Jorge Polanco is hurt. He's still banged up. And I think they even said yesterday in the broadcast, his wrist, or I think Mendoza said it before the game on Saturday or Sunday, his wrist is feeling better, but it's again the Achilles. The Achilles is still bothering him. That Achilles has been bothering him since game 2 of the season. And of course, Francisco Lindor is hurt. You got 3 key players hurt. one key player banged up and now struggling. Soto has really struggled the last 6 or 7 games after he got off to such a hot start. Even in the games he played in between when he got hurt, from before he got hurt and then when he came back, he was still playing really well. You got rookies, you got prospects who you were hoping would play well: Vientos, Beatty, Alvarez, even Mauricio before his injury, who were either inconsistent or outright struggling. And look, it sucks because, you expect these guys, or at least one or two, to at least pan out and play well. Beatty is really struggling. Alvarez has been, I like Alvarez's approach at the plate. His approach at the plate is certainly a lot better. But unfortunately, he's heading to a crap ton of double plays, and it's hurting them. And then you have Mark Vientos, who 1 minute can blast a ball to deep left field. The next minute, he's 0 for 27. And Ronnie Mauricio is a free swinger who doesn't take pitches. It's the failure of these draft picks and the failure to develop these draft picks. And unfortunately, it doesn't go to just one regime. It goes back several regimes, several GMs, several front offices. And now the Mets have, at least on paper and all the rankings, one of the top farm systems in all of baseball. It's about, and now here you are, 10 games under 500, in last place, and currently the worst record in all of baseball. And you have all these guys hurt. Your pitching has been fine. Your defense overall has been fine. What's holding you back? Well, your offense sucks. And they can't score. Can't get hits. They're getting retired 9 in a row, 10 in a row per game. They're hitting it too many double plays. They're playing Andy Slater and Ibanez. And Torrens and Alvarez are like mixing and matching between DH and catcher. Actually, oddly enough, I prefer Alvarez as a DH. Beatty's struggling. Vientos is inconsistent. There ain't much oomph there. Soto's been fine. Oh, Bichette is struggling this year. Bichette, who you signed to drive in runners in scoring position, and he ain't doing that. Soto's off. Soto's cold right now, but overall he's been fine. I think he'll snap out of it. Ben just showing some promise. Marcus Semien overall has been, I think, fine. Defensively, he's given you, his bat's been okay enough, and his defense has been good. So you only have 3 guys in Atlanta that you go, oh, sure. But even then, you have that's only 3 out of 7. Bichette's got to get going. Vientos has to get more consistent. Alvarez has to get more consistent. But you got all these holes right now, and you got multiple guys, key guys hurt. So what do you got to do? You got to start calling some guys up in AAA. And I know some of them, like AJ Ewing, just started. But the reality is this. You're going to have to call them up now. Because you can't run down that lineup. Let's go through the Mets lineup from last night, shall we? Let's just go through the Mets lineup from last night, shall we? Just a quick little dose of their lineup last night. Now, this was against Eduardo Rodriguez, a left-handed pitcher. A left-handed pitcher. This was their lineup from yesterday in a series finale game going for 2 out of 3. Juan Soto, DH, Bo Bichette, shortstop, Andy Slater, left field, Mark Vientos, first base, Marcus Semien, second base, Ibanez, third base, Tyrone Taylor, center field, Benji right, Torrens, catcher. Again, that's not the lineup you want to throw in a series finale rubber match kind of game, right? Not exactly what you want to run through. Not what you want to run through. And I think the Mets offense and their lineup has reached a point where they're going to have to start making these calls. Clifford's got good power. Call him up. Put him at first. Put him at DH. Ewing has looked really well. I think he should be the first one to be called up. Morabito. Get these guys up. And yeah, the pitchers, sure. Santucci, Jonah Tong especially. But right now, the pitching is not the main issue. It's not the main issue. You could still take your time with Jonah Tong, but pitching is not the main issue for them. And they're giving Christian Scott a chance, which I like. I like seeing them give him a chance first. But it's really not the pitching. They've been fine. It's the offense. They're not great, don't get me wrong, but it's been fine. The offense is the problem. And you're missing key guys. And they're not hitting run scoring position again. And they're not getting on base. They're not drawing their walks. and everyone's pressing. It's a very sloppy offense. Very, very sloppy. Right now, all you can do is call up AJ Ewing, call up Clifford, call up Morbido, start calling these guys up from AAA and see if they can help them out, because certainly it's better than what I'm seeing with Slater and Ibanez and even Beatty and Vientos and even Alvarez, Tyrone Taylor. It's certainly got to be a hell of a lot better than what I'm seeing from them. Certainly got to be a hell of a lot better from what I'm seeing from 60%, 70% of the offense. Certainly a hell of a lot better. And you also want to get these new crop of guys here. There's a lot of Met fans out there who think, I said it when I talked about Carson Bench on the last show, and I'll bring it back here. There's a lot of Met fans who feel betrayed because of the offseason. And look, I still agree with those moves, by the way. Still agree with them. But there's a lot of fans who don't see the connection. Now, it doesn't help. Now, the main thing is they ain't winning. You start winning, connection will be there. That's all that matters. If you win, they'll connect. If you win games, you connect. Doesn't, that's all that really matters. If you do want it, but since the fans love talking about it, if you want to start getting connection, get these players up and you can start that connection as the new crop of talented players that are coming out from AAA. Because clearly this current crop, Beatty, Vientos, Alvarez, Mauricio, it ain't working. Clearly, it ain't working because not one of them can you confidently say is a big league caliber player. Not one. And out of 4, that's horrible. That is an F grade. Big F. If you have 4 prospects like that, God, you better hope at least 1 pans out. If you're lucky, 2. If you're really lucky, 3. But to have 0, that's hard to believe, man. Really hard to believe that 0 panned out or on the verge of not panning out. That's hard to believe, really. And only the Mets can have that, but still hard to believe. But if I'm the Mets, I start it now. Start calling them up. You don't have to call them up all together, but AJ Ewing, Morbido, Ryan Clifford, they all got to come up pretty soon. It's got to start happening right now. So Breece Hall and the Jets got extended. Now, that was a move I didn't see coming. I thought Breece Hall would take this to midseason, and the Jets take it to midseason, the Jets would be bad, and they would trade him. Or I thought he would have a great year and leave in free agency to a running back needy team. I think it just goes to show, and the contract is now officially what the Jets write. Officially what the Jets write is that it's a 3-year contract. The Jets say it's a 3-year contract. The extension is a 3-year deal. It makes him, I think, the 3rd highest paid back in the game. But really, according to Connor Hughes of SNY, it's really a 2-year deal. It's really a 2-year fully guaranteed twist from Connor Hughes of SNY. A 2-year fully guaranteed deal. 3rd year does not have any guarantees, but with it, incentives, the APY jumps up. So, but for the Jets, bottom line, to get this done is pretty big. And Breece Hall has been one of the few good players you've had on this roster for the last few years. And, it'd be nice to keep him around. And he's a really good player, and he's a good complete player. He's just a guy who's been stuck in an offense with no identity. Stuck with 0 identity. And for the Jets to keep him around for at least the next couple of years, that's pretty big. And he'll be there next year when the Jets have, hopefully, the quarterback that they want and desire and draft in the 2027 class. And now all of a sudden, the Jets offense, again, you look at it and go, okay. You got Garrett Wilson, you got Cooper, you got Sadiq, you got Mason Taylor, you now have Breece Hall extended, you have a solid offensive line and a foundation. Okay, all of a sudden you look at them and go, again, it's not, I don't think it's obvious to score 35 points a game, but you kind of look at it and you go, okay, they got something going there. Okay, they got something for that 2027 draft quarterback that they're going to draft soon. They got something there. But getting Breece Hall back is big. That's a big move by Darren Moogie. Big deal done by Darren Moogie. And I think keeping Breece Hall happy and compensated is a very well done move. I think he'll play well. I think he'll perform well. He's been one of the more underrated backs in the game. Like I said, performed well even when he hasn't been used. Performed well for an offense that during his tenure that just has been absolutely dreadful. He's been him and Garrett Wilson have been one of the lone bright spots since they've been teammates with each other since 2022. So I think a very good, so you gotta give the Jets, I give the Jets a lot of props this offseason. Very weird, I know, but I'm giving the Jets a lot of props this offseason. I think they've overall done a solid job. The only move I truly disagree with was getting Geno Smith, but look, I guess their situation is we got to have somebody take the snaps, and we don't like anybody coming out of the draft. So let's just get a veteran like Geno, and then we'll draft the quarterback next year, hopefully. So, but aside from that, I can't fully blame the Jets I can't fully knock the Jets this offseason. I think they've had a very solid offseason overall. So, and extending Breece Hall was a big one. Extending Breece Hall was a big one for them. The NFL scheduling going to come out Thursday, but we got a couple of spoilers, and yeah, those spoilers are going to come out within the next rest of the night, Tuesday, Wednesday. So half the schedule will be out by the official time. But Giants and Cowboys will do Sunday Night Football Week 1 on NBC at MetLife Stadium. I think the Thanksgiving game was Eagles versus the Cowboys. I think also Week 1 there's 49ers and Rams. I think there's another one that I saw before, but I don't. Week 2 the Bills will open up their new stadium. I think against Detroit. I think I saw that one too. But again, we'll get the full gist of it on Thursday. So about the NFL schedule, we'll talk about that on Friday's show about the schedule release. And also wrap it up. I guess we'll wrap it up right now with the Steelers. There was a report last weekend that Aaron Rodgers was going to be in town and meet with the Steelers, but we don't really know what's going on. Again, I don't think anything weird is going to happen. But apparently he never made it to the Steelers facility. There was those reports that he was from Ian Rappaport, and I think it started from a local Pittsburgh Steelers radio station that and made its way to Ian Rappaport that he was going to be visiting the Steelers on Friday to officially start, talking to him about returning in 2026. But apparently the visit never happened. Adam Schefter reported on Monday or today that neither the Steelers nor Aaron Rodgers' agent were aware of the supposed meeting. So no one was aware of this meeting that was supposed to happen. There are varying reports of Rodgers' whereabouts. So look, it's just another chapter of the saga of Aaron Rodgers that this man has put us all through for the good part of the last many years now. I think eventually he will be back with Pittsburgh. But this whole thing is, if you're the Steelers, it's like, dude, come on. It's May already, dude. It's May already. Are you in or are you not? I think they know he's in. I think Rodgers deep down knows he's in, but you don't have to stall time, dude. You don't have to keep stalling the time. We know. Guess we'll do a little quick talk. We got a couple minutes. I'll do a little quick talk about Backlash. I thought Backlash was actually a good pay-per-view. I thought the best match of the card was Io and Asuka. I thought they had a tremendous match, and I think Asuka and Io should have been at WrestleMania. I thought the post-match stuff was really good. I thought the post-match stuff was really good with Asuka. Really good, nice, classy way to turn her baby face. My only gripe, obviously, I only have two gripes, and that is the match should have been at WrestleMania, and Kairi Sane should have been there. Kairi Sane should have absolutely been there. At being a part of that match. I just don't think there was any reason to release her, and she should be on the roster right now. She should have been a part of that. It's just a shame that the story it's just a shame that the story had to be like that because WWE made some dumb releases like that and offering the New Day a 50% whatever pay cut and told the New Day to take a pay cut or restructure their contracts, and good on the New Day for saying, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We'll leave. Thank you. Good on the New Day for doing that. And it sucks because it sucks not seeing the New Day there anymore. It sucks not seeing Kofi Kingston there anymore after 20 years. And I could never imagine that was the way that he would go out, that they would treat him like that. But back to the match, I thought it was a great match, and I just wish that Kyrie was there and for to be a part of that to wrap up that storyline. And I just because she was the main focal point, the main piece, the main key piece of that storyline. And I just wish the match was at WrestleMania. But overall, I thought the card was good. So yeah, Monday Night Raw is currently going on right now. We'll talk a little bit more of that on Friday. We'll discuss on Friday the NFL schedule release, talk more about around Major League Baseball, and we'll talk more about the NBA playoffs and where things stand by the time we reach Friday. Maybe or maybe not, we'll have the Eastern Conference Finals all set in stone. We'll see. Maybe we'll have the Western Conference Finals all set in stone. We'll see. I think we all assume it's going to be the Oklahoma City moving on probably tonight, maybe tonight. We'll see. But that'll about wrap it up today from MazzaOnSports. Thank you guys so much for tuning and listening. I greatly appreciate it. Have yourselves a great night. I will see you all on Friday. Enjoy the NBA playoffs tonight. We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a great night and take care.